Hello and welcome to the STEM and Research podcast. Today we have Professor J. Ramkumar from the Mechanical Engineering Department at IIT Kanpur. He's here to share some insight about the exciting new COVID relief technologies that he's been involved in developing.
Would you mind introducing yourself to the audience?
Yeah, thank you very much. Thank you very much, both Anvesha and Arnav, so for taking this initiative. I am Professor Ram Kumar from Department of Mechanical and Design Program, IIT Kanpur. I am currently heading the division called Imagineering Lab, which is a new initiative which is taken by IIT Kanpur.
So one of your latest products, Should, it's a low-cost disinfector. Could you please explain what exactly it does?
During COVID, there were a lot of requirements for disinfections. So these disinfections, initially in our own lab, we started with spraying disinfectants or sanitizing. We started, it was wet. So for example, we mixed up with some chemicals and we had our own ratios. We started spraying it. And later we realized that when it falls in the eye or when it falls on the human skin, it causes irritation for few people. And as and when we were doing some few trials, WHO also released a document which said that it is no way useful or it is going to be harmful for spraying chemicals on human bodies. So then we were looking at why don't we start doing the same disinfection process through dry methods. So when we talk about dry methods, the most easiest method of doing it is exposing it to light. So then we figured out what is the light and what is its spectrum. So then there is in open literature, there is a lot of literature available on UVC band lights. So then what we did was we picked up few UVC band lights, and then we involved our scientific knowledge. So what we did was we tried to place a light, see the field of view or field of sight, and then we try to optimize so the distance as well as the location of the bulbs. So we did that, and then we also made an array of 6 bulbs to be placed in one lamp so that you can do 360 degrees disinfection spraying. And we also played with the power of the light such that you can quickly get it done faster. And generally, the UVC light has a problem that human eye cannot be exposed to it. So what we did was we developed an app which works on Bluetooth, wherein which using your own mobile phone, you can activate it and deactivate it at your choice. And moment it was an app, you also can do the time setting. So this will be a big boon because hospitals, schools, malls, where they wanted to do a disinfection dry, they can do it. So Shuddh is a name wherein which it is an acronym which we developed. So S is for smartphone based, SH is for handy, and we made it like U is for universal or UV light, UVC, and H we had a disinfectant, and then it is a handy method or something. So that's why Shuddh came into existence.
Okay, so it's a smartphone-based handy UVC disinfection helper. Did I get that right?
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
So how fast does it work? How quick is it?
Okay, so here it depends on the dosage time. So generally, we did some few trials and we figured out like 10 feet cross 10 feet room can be disinfected in 10 minutes to 15 minutes. So you can do it at the beginning of the day or end of the day, you just keep the lamp inside. And since it is mobile app activated, you can just activate it after closing the shop or closing the mall, activate it for 15 minutes and then you can leave. And then it gets auto switched off.
Okay. And how cost effective is it?
Currently, what the proof of concept we made, we bought the lights on MRP price. So MRP price is always 30% more than whatever you can get it as bulk. So our price lands up somewhere between 10,000 to 15,000. That's the minimum price. And
Okay,
generally, what you get in the market for UVC room sanitizing, it is around about 30,000 rupees.
So when exactly can we expect it to hit the markets?
We have already handed it over to a small to an MSME company. They are working on it. Currently, what is happening is the major bottleneck is the UVC light, because we are not able to mobilize light, so we have a problem with that. So once the lockdown is over, we will be able to get it in bulk, and then we should be able to manage it.
Okay. Hopefully, we see it soon.
Yes, we hope to see that
Yes,
soon.
thank you, thank you.
So one of the other technologies was Mobile Mastery, which is an online classroom platform, right? So maybe could you go ahead and explain how it works and what exactly is it?
Yeah, Mobile Master G was almost like a toy product we started. See, the entire initiative was started by my wife. So she's working in a school where she's an
Mhm.
LKG teacher. So she has to every week send her online classes. So we tried all tricks. She wanted to keep a book and explain. She wanted to do that. She wanted to do this. She wanted to play videos. Then she wanted to have audios. So she wanted to do many things. But the problem is all the digital technology, whatever was available, did not give her that freedom. So finally, she realized that recording the class using a smartphone and then transmitting it to WhatsApp is the best way, because the customers who are there, they all had WhatsApp. So they wanted to see all the lectures through WhatsApp. So then we realized that WhatsApp should be there, smartphone should be there. Now, how are we going to use the smartphone very efficiently? So
Mhm.
then we took the concept of, why don't we go to the examination? So examination, we always take the offline exams. We try to do it on a board. So that means to say you have a pad. So then we took a pad slightly larger, and then we kept an A4 sheet, made fixtures such that we will try to have the smartphone attached with the fixtures, and then you can record these lectures. So once we started doing it, we realized that what gets written there, and when a smartphone gets recorded, it makes it ulta. So
Mhm.
then we had to work on some time to understand how do we get that nullified. And then what, in the camera, they also have a zoom facility, where in which it always zooms at a particular point. So then we also developed a small app which can be interfaced to your smartphone. So that takes care of it. So then we started using this smartphone based Mobile Master G. And then slowly, when we started developing the product and when we were going towards the final stage, we realized that it is going to be a boon for rural teachers, because rural teachers where they don't have any of the digital technologies, they don't even have laptops for them. So for them, it is going to be a big boon. They are going to use a A4 sheet, start writing it there, recording the same, recording the own voice, and communicating through WhatsApp to their students. So through this way, rural teachers were able to get connected with the rural students. So we did not expect that it will be a big reach. So when we did the first few trials and we released it, there were few people appreciating us. But finally, it was a big surprise for us. We have been appreciated by Man Ki Baat. Prime Minister has appreciated our model. So the Prime Minister office said that it's a good technology which all rural teachers should follow. So it started from a small classroom teaching from my wife classroom. So from there it got converted into a product. From there we were able to reach out this product. So it
That's
was a good learning exercise we had.
that's really nice. I didn't know it was mentioned in Monkey Bath. That's so amazing. Congratulations. Oh my god. Uh, so is the app already launched? I was just curious.
Yeah. So the app is what it is not a big thing. It's a small app, so which does not need a huge technology.
Mhm.
So it's a small 4 5 lines line, so that we can also copy it and then get it done.
So can you talk about your Swadeshi face masks?
Okay, so when COVID lockdown started, so we were all running short of number of masks which were got produced in India or in the country, and the masks. First of all, the prices started hitting sky heights. Second thing is it also had a scarcity. So we were all running short of it. So what we thought was, okay, how do we do it? And we started thinking of, why don't we develop a machine? So when we were going through the machine, there was one point where we were all stuck, because all these masks use ultrasonic welding technology. which is not an easy joke for us to generate it within a short period of time. So then we realized, okay, this is not going to take us any far. But vice versa, what happened? We were looking for this melt blow material, where in which this is used in N95. If you typically look at N95, it has a top and bottom portion, a cloth or some material, and then in between it had a melt blow material, okay, a melt blow filter or something like that. So we figured out this melt blow filter was available in India, so we brought it from Ahmedabad. And then what we did was we used this melt blown material and we made multiple folds of the same material. Assuming that there is a pore, when you try to fold it and then make it one flap, two flap, and three flap, like in saris they make. So when you do that, the possibility of a pore having the same size is reduced. And where did we get this technology? Because 4 or 5 years when Bangladesh had a huge flood, so everywhere there was water, but there was no water to drink. So then who suggested that all the wives or all the people who use cotton saris, they can fold it 6 times and use it as a filter, which can filter bacteria. So we got the same concept. We took the same melt blow material, folded it 4 times, and then we stitched it. Then we did some trials. We figured out it gave almost the same performance as that of N95. So we were quickly able to make masks. We supplied somewhere around about 10,000 masks to various hospitals, frontline workers, and we were able to stitch these masks using using tailors who are below the poverty line, tailors who are on streets. So we call them all, give them a job, and then they all got it done. So we could stitch somewhere around about 10,000 masks, and we were able to distribute it. So it was again a novel concept. The concept was taken from Bangladesh, WHO recommendation. We did a cut and paste technology, and then that mapped it very well, and we were able to make these masks. And in between, for stopgap, we could distribute these masks. Then next level, what we did was we started working with Unnat Bharat Abhiyan along with the Eastpin company. Did the same, had a cotton cloth at the top, cotton cloth at the bottom, made a cartridge, just make a cartridge of this melt blow material, inserted it in the mask, and we were able to get the similar performance. So this, again, what we did, we integrated all the small self-help group women, and they were able to stitch these masks, and we were able to sell it. Today, we have sold somewhere around about 4,000 masks to military, armed forces, and then we were able to sell 3,000 masks to Agra frontline workers. 2,000 masks we have also sold to Delhi government. So these two were our developments in the mask. Though I have put it in a very short words and short time, but the research, what we did, we used to work 24/7, all 7 days a week. We were there in the lab, had a lot of time doing trials. Yes, IIT Kanpur had a lot of faith on us and they supported us. So we were able to make.
So, could you just elaborate a little bit more on how it was different from the N95 mask?
See, N95 mask, generally what happens is it has a top cloth, bottom cloth, and a melt blow material in between. And then what it does is it tries to stitch these 3 materials together. The stitching does not happen by physical stitching, it happens by ultrasonic welding. So that is why when you buy an N95 mask, you see something like a dotted line which goes all around your nose and somewhere in between also. So that is done by ultrasonic welding machine. That is a technology which is there in all N95 mask machines. We initially made this as a stopgap arrangement, and now we could get we have developed and we could work with a MSMA company, Eastpin. We developed a product. Today we are able to develop 25,000 masks a day, and again we have started distributing rest of the country from these masks.
That's amazing.
Yeah, that's really amazing. It's really nice to see the impact it's already having and how quick it was to actually employed into the mainstream. Um, so, if I'm not wrong, IIT Kanpur did start developing portable ventilators like very early on when the pandemic started. So, probably in March. Um, so, I think you were involved with it. Could you maybe just talk about what stage we are in now and what's the status of that project?
Yeah, see, mechanical ventilators, as soon as the lockdown started, Prime Minister came front and he said that, okay, we need ventilators, we need PPE kits, personal protection kits, we need masks. So all these things were a few agenda points which was given by him to rest of the country, and he motivated a lot of people like me and MSME companies to start producing it. So at the first stage, everybody started working on these ventilators. So we also started to work on ventilators. So ventilators are mechanical ventilators. So basically, it will try to take the status of a patient, and then it will try to regulate the input which is given to the patient, and then accordingly monitor it and then keep going it. So we started developing few concepts, and then this idea was integrated with Noka Robo, which is a company which got started from IIT Kanpur, or IIT Kanpur nurtured that company. They were initially into robo technology, robotics, and this company was taking the lead in the front, and then a lot of PSUs, public service units, public sector units were all integrated into it. And today the mechanical ventilator is ready for commercialization, and they have made and distributed these ventilators all across the country. So Bharat Electronics Limited was one PSU involved. Then Bharat Dynamite Limited was the other thing which was involved. So every PSU was also involved. So they used to help us in field testing it, and then they used to help us in developing circuits. So we were just behind the scene. We were trying to educate them as and when at everywhere when they were stuck in technical discussions. We used to help them out. But the lead was taken by the startup company, and they have made a wonderful product. It is now ready for commercialization.
Mm-hmm. That's really nice. So actually, when I was looking into this initiative, I came across a point which I thought holds true for actually all of them. So it says the students left the campus very early, like in March. So how has it been working without student involvement at all, for the most part?
See, when you look at all these technologies, nothing is rocket science. Point number one. And two is we always did a empathy study in the first round, understood the problem. So moment I have understood the problem, all I did was I broke the problem into several small milestones. Then I had to work on these milestones. So naturally, I could not work on all these problems. So I started collaborating with experts and staff members who are experts in this. More than experts, I choose people in my team who are all more towards problem solvers rather than intelligent people.
Mm-hmm.
So I used to give each milestone, and then I used to review that milestone at the end of the day. And we were all collaboratively working. So I never had a vertical system. I had a horizontal administrative system. So I called everybody. So everybody in the morning, we used to sit down for 10-15 minutes and understand what went wrong yesterday and what was the feedback from the customer. And I took all my staff members along with me to the customers, and any credit, I gave the credit to my staffs. And anything which went wrong, I stood at the upfront, and then I took the damage for it. So like this, we first started establishing a team, and then we felt comfortable with our team. Everybody was equal in our was and is equal in our team. So we started contributing it. And though the students were not involved in the upfront, they were all involved at the back end. So whatever small ideas we get, if we could not simulate it, then I used to call my students, requested them, can you do the simulation and check our concept is working? So they were doing at the back end. So it's still a team effort, though the students were not there at campus, they were all behind the scene, and we were able to see success. So students are involved, lot of staff members are involved, lot of small startup companies were involved. So they all put their sincere efforts. They all gave 200% so that we could solve many problems. And I had only one thing in my mind. I did not choose intelligent people. I choose people who were all problem solvers. That is more important. So they all took it as their own problem, worked day and night. They used to call me late in the night at 2 o'clock and say, "Sir, abhi dimag mein idea aa gaya." So then we used to talk at 2 to 2:30 in the night. 2 to 4 in the morning we used to discuss. So we were all working together, and we never used to break for lunch. Morning we enter inside, we used to come back only late in the evening. So it was a wonderful experience. So we did not realize how did this 100 days pass by.
Mm-hmm. Wow. Also, the realization that it's been 100 days, that's that's something. It's really nice to know that, like, how efficient teamwork can be. And how much we can achieve just as a team.
So initially, I think you mentioned the Imagineering lab. Can you just talk about what it exactly is?
So see, initially we at IIT Kanpur had the concept called as tinkering lab. So where we wanted all our students to come around, tinker, and then start getting exposed to exposure on product development and physical product development, whatever their thought process could get materialized. So this was the initial idea, and the tinkering lab was going fine. So unfortunately, the tinkering lab concept was taken by ministry, and it became Atal Tinkering Lab. So we thought we should change our name. So we thought for a new name. So then came this name called as Imagineering Lab. So Imagineering Lab has two words, imagine and engineering. So we merged it and made it as Imagineering Lab. So here the student is supposed to imagine and do engineering. Moment I say engineering, he has to use optimization, simulation skills to develop the product. It cannot be proof of concept alone. It has to be a product which can go to market worthiness. So that is why we gave this name of Imagineering. So engineering is also involved on top of your proof of concept. See, if 100 products are developed, the proof of concept for all the 100 is ready, but what goes to the market will be only 10.
Mm-hmm.
Because there is a big difference between proof of concept and market viable product. So that is called as MVP, market viable product. It has to be in terms of costing, it has to be in terms of aesthetics, it has to be in terms of acceptance. So all these things have to be there. So converting POC into market viable product was not thought of earlier, but now we have integrated into our objectives. So that is why we gave a name called as Imagineering Lab.
So from a student's point of view, the lab seems like an excellent opportunity to just get some exposure. So these students can they be like anyone who's at IIT Kanpur, any undergrad student, any grad student? Is there any qualification that they need to have?
So our prime responsibility was IIT Kanpur students, but then we slowly started expanding our catchment area. So we have now started opening it out for startup companies who have got nurtured in under SIIC of IIT Kanpur. Then slowly, we have also started now looking forward for intelligent or brilliant ideas. So if there is a good idea, even by a common man or by a student in a school, so we would look for the idea, we evaluate the idea. If the idea is good, such that we can take it forward, we even support them.
Mm-hmm.
So if the idea is good and he does not have any finances to support, we do that free of cost also. So what we
So
are
has
now
there been
looking
any
forward is we are opening it for every segment of people. What we are looking forward is only for a good idea and a viable idea.
Mm-hmm.
Then we are involved to help them to take them to the product level. So it's open.
Okay.
Now it's open for everybody.
Has there been any example of you've got an idea from someone who was slightly unexpected to get an idea from, and it has actually made an impact?
Currently, we got an idea where we are working on a blind man's walking stick. So there was a kid from a school So it is she. She came forward. She gave the idea such that it can be used inside a room.
Mhm.
See, for example, what happens is the GPS system, what works? It works for a building. So the GPS many a times does not work, lead to a room. So now a blind man can get, assuming that he got into a room, he wants to identify where all are his obstacles inside a room. So in that case, there was a kid, a school-going kid, who she came and then she gave some idea, and that had a lot of technical problems, but still the idea was good, and then we helped her in developing it. Though still it is a long way to go, but we helped her in developing it. So that is
Okay.
one. And recently there was a student from Chandigarh who has sent me who was about to send me a few samples that he has developed some fibers from wheat husk. So he wanted to use these fibers and make Band-Aid. So we said, okay, you please give it to us. We will try to develop a small machine for you and then start developing it. Then we also developed a blind man's braille. Using that braille, we also developed an app such that blind man can send an SMS.
Mhm.
So now the SMS, what has happened is it is by audio you can convert. In WhatsApp, you speak, it converts into letters. But earlier they did not have this facility. So we tried to develop a braille SMS. That was again from a school kid.
So,
So she
Mhm.
presented the idea, saying that why don't we do this? Then naturally we developed it more. But it was an idea which came from a school kid.
So I'm just curious, was the Braille thing more of a software thing or was it a part of the hardware? So for example, I've seen such keyboards that have an attachment at the back of the phone. So was it something like a hardware component or was it like a software?
No. So what we did was we had an app developed. So based upon, I think there are only 7 dots in each character,
Mhm.
if I'm right. So what we did was we allowed the blind person to tap at different locations because they know ABCD character, whatever it is, at different locations on a screen. So it develops a letter from that.
Mhm.
So an app where he types at 7 or 6 different locations, he could get that and then he could start using it. See, it is completely a screen based, and it is only for a smartphone.
Okay. So this was the idea of a school-going kid.
Yeah, these are some of the ideas which came from a school kid, and then this and that way we started developing along with them. So many
Okay.
more small ideas do come. So sometimes if there merit, we take it up. Otherwise, we just drop it there and then we go.
Mhm.
So can you maybe talk about some of the bigger ideas, like that the lab may have, how the lab may have been impactful, especially since the pandemic started?
Bigger idea. So see, you need not always think of only big ideas. Small ideas also make a big niche. For example, this Mobile Master G. Today we have sold already some 500 pieces of it. So we did not even expect. So it's a small thing, but it is a boon for all the village-based teachers. See, today what has happened is online teaching. 60 to 70% of the people who watch the online teaching is through their smartphones.
Mhm.
Okay, so now it is only small screen. It's not even laptops, small screen. So having that and developing online teaching for that, using that was a big is something which is very big. So you should see the happiness amongst the school teachers. We tried demonstrating it to some few of the rural teachers. They were extremely happy because they all felt they could get connected with their students. So there are places, if you go 20 kilometers away from Kanpur, there are completely rural villages where the schools are located 8 kilometers away and the children are located at 15, 20 kilometers away. So the teachers and the children were now able to talk and get connected through this online class and platform. So we were very happy. So we have a motto that we will not think big. but we will think of small, make an impact, keep moving.
That's
Because we
wonderful.
also know what is our incapability. We don't have many strong points. So we always look for our strength and start picking up products wherein which we see success.
So we're almost at the end of this right now. As a takeaway note, what do you think is the most important thing to keep in mind while doing research amidst the pandemic? So, given our situation, what do you think is the most important thing to consider, like keep in mind?
See, the first thing, if you're looking forward during pandemic or any situation, first try to hone your observational skills.
Mhm.
So observational skills plays a very, very important role. If you see a person who's begging, so if you say, oh, here is a beggar and I just have to give him 10 rupees, I'm done with it, he runs away. So that is not the solution to the problem. We have to understand the root cause of the problem. So anything you do, please try to have your observational skills honed. You have to have an observational skills. You take me to any place, I would always look at something creative. I'll always look at why is this happening? Can't it be done like this? So that will go at the back of my mind. So that gives you a big, big breakthrough. That gives you a huge understanding. That keeps you more motivated. So first is your observational skills. Second thing is you have to do empathy study before trying to develop any products. Any product, you have to do empathy study. See, I will tell you a very simple example. If you are having a flat foot, you always have a problem of getting shoes.
Mhm.
What we measure in shoe is only the length of your foot. We never measure the width of the foot. If you have a flat foot and if your length is small, you find a difficulty in getting your shoes. Why? Because our measurements are no way correct. So if you have a flat foot, you have a problem in entering your shoe. So the mouth of the shoe should be the parameter rather than the length of the shoe.
Mhm.
Right? So now you see, we have to understand, until and unless you do an empathy study, you will not be able to understand. So you have to have a thorough observational skills. You have to do an empathy study and then start ideating. You cannot come up with one idea and say, here is my idea, this is the ultimate, it will work. No. Big researchers, big scientists, they all made 1,000 pieces, 10,000 pieces, out of which 2 were successful. So you have to start ideating more. And from the idea, that means to say, from the ideation stage, you have to do a lot of cut and paste technology between those ideas and start developing. Then only comes the final development. Today, route learning is not going to be the future. You have to be adaptive. So you have to be adaptive, you have to be agile, and you have to start accepting change. So these are my few take-home messages. Hone your observational skills, try to do an empathy study or try to understand whatever you read also, try to understand. And then you try to ideate, or if it is not of product development, you look for these other skills and be adaptive, be agile. That's going to keep you stress free and keep you smiling for long.
That's a perfect note to end on. Yeah. Professor J. Ramkumar, thank you so much for joining us today. And thanks to our audience for tuning in.
So, interestingly, Professor J. Kumar also talked about his story behind becoming a researcher and his advice for young innovators on the Innovation On blog last year. So, we'll link that in the description. Feel free to check that out. And we hope you'll tune in into our future episodes.